Jai Hind everyone, I am Dr. Monica Agrawal from the Department of Applied Sciences and Humanities at Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College, Ghaziabad. My subject is Soft Skill 1, Code KNC 101. This is the lecture on the topic Process of Communication, which is a part of Unit 1, which deals with basics of communication skills. The topics covered in this lecture are concept of communication, that will be a brief recapitulation of the previous lectures. Then I will be dealing with the process of communication, and then we will discuss the features of the process of communication. Communication, as we know, is the process by which information is transmitted between individual human beings, or between an individual and a group of people, or between two organizations, or between some source and the mass of the people. And the purpose of this process is to create an understanding. So this process should result in an understanding response. So the purpose of communication, the overall purpose of communication, is to create an understanding, continue living and working with an understanding, so that we can cooperate and coordinate with people to achieve our desired goal. So communication is not only a process. Before that, at a higher level, communication is a state. So we can deal with communication, we can look at communication from two points of view. One, communication as a state of communication, and the other as communication as the process. As the state, communication is that environment, that situation, that mindset which keeps two people connected, no matter whether they are indulged in the actual act of communication or not, but they are in the state of communication. Means whenever they feel like, whenever they need, whenever they feel some urge, they can start with the process of communication. So at the stage of being a process, it is the actual act of communicating with some content. A person has some need or an urge to share some information with the other person, then the process of the communication starts. So, and this process is done at all the levels by a human being in his or her life, personal life, as well as at the professional level. So, an important requirement of every profession and every business is communication skills on the part of the people who work there. So, a professional participates in the process of communication for various purposes and in many ways. So, today we will be discussing the process of communication, means how does the actual act of communication take place. So, communication process, as the word suggests, consists of certain steps, certain stages, and this is a logical sequence of those steps and those stages, and each step constitutes the essential of an effective communication. We all want to be effective whenever we indulge in communication. So, to be effective, we have to pay attention to each and every step or each and every stage in the process of communication. So, first of all, we must understand what is being effective, because effective communication, it can be used as a term, but unless we understand what does it really mean, we cannot work towards that. So, communication is effective only when a concise and clear message is delivered, a message which is concise, full of meaning, and it is also clear to the person who is going to receive that message, and it is delivered well, means in a proper manner, through proper means, through proper channel, and it is received successfully, and it is understood fully with the intended meaning. So, effective communication takes place only when all the stages of the process of communication are taken care of. So, let us now understand what is the process of communication. Process of communication is the outcome of the three elements of communication, means the interaction between two or all the three elements of communication results in the process of communication. And these three elements are: number one, the sender. Sender is the technical term used for that person who initiates the actual process of communication, means the person who has some need or some urge to share some information. And then message. Message means that actual content, that actual information which the sender wants to communicate, which the sender wants to share. And the third element is the receiver. Receiver is on the other end of the process, that is that person who is targeted at the time of initiating the process of communication by the sender. So, sender means the person who wants to initiate the process, who has some idea to share. The message is that idea, and the receiver is the person who is going to receive that message. So, these are the three elements, and we can notice that here the sender and the receiver are the human elements, are the actual human beings who are indulged in the process of communication, and they are mandatory. Without receiver, no process of communication can start. And the third thing is the message, means the actual content which the sender wants to share with the receiver. These are the three elements which interact through different processes, you can say different forces to complete the process of communication. So, let us now understand that how these three elements of communication interact with each other and the process of communication takes place. Because to make the process happen or to complete the process, these three elements have to interact with each other in a sequential manner. The process of communication has the following distinct component, means more than these three elements, there are some other elements also, there are some other stages and activities involved in one unit of the process of communication. So, let us understand them one by one. To begin with, as I have earlier said, that the first thing is the sender. Sender, let us understand these terms properly, then only we will be able to understand the complete process, actual happening of the process of communication. Sender, as I said, is that person who has some idea in his mind, or who has some thought, some opinion, some information which he finds to be shared due to some need, to fulfill one of his need, to do something, to achieve something. So, that is the situation, that is the need of that person which creates the urge within the person to share that information, whether it is an idea or some feeling or some thought, whatever it is. Okay. So, he feels some need to share that content with the other person, or some inner urge that he has to share it with either a chosen person or to any person whom he meets by chance. The sender has that urge. Having an idea is not sufficient in itself. The sender has to feel the need of sharing that idea, the urge to share that idea with the other person. So, that person becomes the sender. Then the encoding. Now, another term which is going to be there in the process of communication, that when the sender has the idea and he feels that it should be shared with some other person, he has to turn that idea into a concrete message. This is done with the help of the encoding process. It is also a process in itself. So, this stage in the process of communication is again a small process in itself, because this thing is done with a very carefully chosen things, the elements, words or any other mean which the person finds suitable to turn his abstract idea which lies within his mind into a concrete message. So, that process of turning the idea into the message, a concrete form, is called encoding, and this concrete form is given either as verbal or non-verbal form. As we have already learned that verbal means where the words are used, non-verbal means where words are not used, no use of words. So, verbal may be oral or written, non-verbal may also be oral or written. Whichever form, whichever type the sender finds suitable to fulfill his purpose, to complete his goal, he or she encodes the abstract idea into a concrete message. So, that process of turning an idea into a message is called encoding. He has to make a selection of words, he has to make a selection of the language, he has to make selection of the length as well as accuracy, the detail. So many things are considered at this stage in the complete process of communication, and this itself, within itself, is a process, okay, because if the sender wants to be effective, he has to make a very careful encoding to fulfill his goal. Then comes out the message, okay. So, after the encoding process, encoding stage, the message is prepared by the sender, and this message can be either a concrete verbal written message or some concrete oral spoken message. It may be some body language, some sign, some symbol, anything, but it is a concrete and ready to be shared form of the thought which was there in an abstract form within the mind of the sender before encoding. So, the message is a concrete and ready to be shared form of an abstract thought. Now, the abstract thought which was there in the mind of the sender, which could not have been shown to anybody, because it was not possible to read and to show the thoughts of our mind, okay, or it is not possible to read the thoughts of the other person's mind. So, it is necessary that this encoding process is done very carefully to turn that thought or idea into a concrete form, ready to be shared form, which could be transmitted to the other person. So, that is called a message. Message is again a technical term. Only after deciding upon the form and the type and the words and the way of conveying this message, the idea becomes a message. After that message, the process of communication has the other part. Now, the idea is turned into a message. Now, the sender has to make a selection of the channel, because now it is going to be transmitted externally with the help of some media. Now, it is going to be shared as a commodity, as a you can say as a content, as a thing with the other person. So, the sender has to make a selection of the media. First of all, the language which is understood by the sender, it is already decided at the stage of encoding, at the step of encoding, and now the sender has to decide the suitable media to transmit the information, to share that information. That is called channel. If the message is in oral form, then the channel may be air. If the person is there standing in front of the person, it may be a face-to-face communication without the use of any other means. Only the tool of language is used, or if not verbal, then non-verbal signs and symbols are used. The light and the air are the media. If it is in non-verbal form, then it is that. If it is in verbal form, written form, then some paper or the use of electronic media. Whatever media the sender feels suitable to achieve his purpose and to suitable according to the convenience of the receiver also. So many things are considered at that stage in the process of communication, and it is done very quickly by a careful sender. It does not take much time to decide. Okay. So, he or she has to decide very carefully and very quickly what would be the channel for the transmission of the message from his mind, from his self to the other person. That is called channel, and that is an external device, that is an external material, some physical facility that is used as media here. Then receive. Now the other half of the circle start. I will show with the help of a diagram that receiver is the person on the other end, on the receiving end. That is the person who is targeted, who is the you can say the focus of that initiation in the process of communication by the sender. So, receiver is the person on the other end who is targeted at the time of encoding the message, or who should be targeted at the time of encoding the message. Now, the message when transmitted to the receiver, now when he, so decoding is done by the receiver, means once the receiver receives the message, it is his part to understand and interpret what is sent. So, the process of interpreting the message sent by the sender is called decoding. So, this is the interpretation of the message by the receiver, and here the receiver understands the meaning in his own capacity, with his own capability, with all the reference and context of the previous communication with the sender. He understands and tries to understand the meaning, and that depends upon the willingness of the receiver also. Whatever he feels like, whatever he thinks about the message or the person who has sent or the situation, whatever, means this is the interpretation of the message by the receiver. He decodes the intended meaning of the message sent by the sender. So, this is decoding. After decoding, the sender is going to receive the feedback in the form of the response by the receiver, means the receiver has to make a response. This is a response after the decoding, and it may be verbal or non-verbal. It may be a verbal response or a non-verbal response. Now, it is the part of the receiver to decide what type, what form he should select for sending the response, and this response goes back to the sender in the form of feedback. So, this may be a verbal response, this may be a non-verbal response. If it is no response, then also it is some meaningful indication for the sender. So, feedback, whether in the form of clear verbal and non-verbal response or the absence of response, the feedback definitely goes back to the sender. So, these are the components of the process of communication which I have discussed, and now with the help of a small, you can say, flow chart, we can understand this process more clearly. The first step, the first stage in the process of communication is that stage where a sender decides to transmit a thought, means he has, people have different thoughts, people have different ideas, but every time every idea is not a ready to be transmitted or ready to be shared commodity. So, when a sender feels or decides that now he has to transmit this thought or this feeling due to some need or due to an inner urge, that is the first stage in the process of communication. So, it is necessary that a sender becomes a sender only when he decides to transmit a thought and share the information with some other person, individual or a group. When he decides, then the further stage comes. The next stage is that he has to encode the thought into a message. He has to decide that how he is going to tell that to the other person, how he is going to express that thought, okay, in what words, in what language, in what way, in what length, everything. So that is the process, and it is suggested that this stage in the process of communication should be audience centered, it should be receiver oriented, means it is the duty of the sender, if he wants to be effective, he should focus on the person who is going to be his receiver. He should not give importance to his capacities, he should not give importance to what he can do, but he should focus on what his receiver can understand, what his receiver gives importance to. So this encoding process, this encoding stage is done keeping in focus the receiver. So this is called the audience oriented approach, or this is called the receiver centered approach, and this approach should be maintained at this stage in the process of communication, at the encoding stage in the process of communication. Then comes the selection of the channel. According to the encoding, the form of the message is decided: verbal, non-verbal, oral, written, face to face, or by the use of some telecommunication means. The sender selects the suitable channel of transmission, and at this stage the abstract thing, when it turns into a message, is in the outer world. Now that has taken a physical shape and a physical form, so it needs a channel. That channel is decided by the sender. Again, at this stage the channel should be carefully selected by the sender. As I have said earlier, that it is very important at the time of selection that this channel is within the approach and availability of the receiver, within the approach of the receiver. If channel is available and easy to be used by the receiver, then only this channel is suitable, otherwise not. There are so many things, the cost, the time, the speed and the availability, so many things are there to decide upon the right channel for the transmission of the message. Then receiver receives the message. This is also very important. Unless the receiver receives the message, the process cannot continue further, because if there is a delay in this reception or the receiving of the message by the receiver, then the process will pause. Okay. So this stage is very important. This we can understand with the help of the media which we are using these days. Unless we are determined that the message is received by our receiver on WhatsApp also, we are very patient. But once we see that the message is read by the receiver, we become impatient to get the response. So this stage is very important. The receiver receives the message. So it is the sender's part to wait for the completion of this stage in the process of communication, then only the further stages will occur. So once the receiver receives the message, then the receiver tries to decode the message. Here this decoding is done by the receiver in his capacity. Okay. That is why it is suggested that the sender should encode the message keeping in mind the capability or the level or the understanding of the receiver. So receiver has to decode the message. He will decode it, he will try to understand it, he will try to interpret the meaning in his capacity, what he knows, not what is intended by the sender. So the reducing of the gap between the intended meaning as at the time of encoding the message by the sender and the decoded meaning done by the receiver should be the target of effective communication. We should reduce the gap. The sender should try to minimize this gap, then only the communication will be effective. So the receiver decodes the message and tries to understand the meaning intended in the message by the sender. Then after that the receiver makes a response, and that response, as I have earlier said, that the response goes back to the sender as feedback. The sender waits for the response of the receiver to judge, to evaluate the effectiveness of his attempt at that particular communication, that particular attempt of communication. So, receiver makes a response, and this response again can be verbal or non-verbal. It may again be oral or written. So, we can understand that at this point of the transmission of the message, the cycle of the process of the communication has another half, an identical reflection of the previous half. Here the sender encodes the message and transmits. Then receiver comes. The receiver receives the message, decodes the message in his own capacity and makes a response. That response has to go back to the sender again with the use of the channel. So, these are the stages in the process of communication, and these stages in turn become a full circle, because the response reaches back to the sender again in the form of a message only after the encoding done by the receiver. So, in a way this process of communication becomes a full circle, and this process becomes a circular process. Okay. With the help of this image we can understand the circular process of communication. This is a circular process. This is a point to be understood. The process of communication is not one directional. It is not a linear process. It is a circular process, because with the help of this image we can understand that one side two people are involved. Okay. One is the sender, the other is the receiver. I have deliberately this picture deliberately hides the identity of these two human beings involved in the process as sender or receiver, because after a certain stage sender does not remain a sender, he or she becomes a receiver. So, the identity and the role of the people involved in the process of communication interchanges, they swipe their roles. Okay. As we can understand with the help of this image, that one human being and the other human being, two human beings are involved, and between these two people anyone can be the sender. We can start from here. If we start from here, then this person is the sender and this person is the receiver. If we start from there, then that person becomes the sender and this person becomes the receiver. So, if we start from there, we can see that within the mind of a person some idea needs to be shared, and the person decides that now he has to share this information with the other person. So, after that decision he takes a process of encoding. He has to decide upon the form of the message. So, that is called encoding. So, at that stage comes in between the transmission and the reception of the message. So, that is encoding, and after encoding the message is prepared, or he decides that now this is a ready to be sent form of my message. That message is decoded by the receiver. When it is transmitted, it is decoded by the receiver. Again the process of interpretation takes place. The receiver has to interpret the intended meaning, and that is called decoding. Once he interprets and decides upon that now he has a ready to be shared idea, he needs to share that idea, he encodes that idea into a message, and that message is the feedback message, that is the response by the receiver. So, that response again is made only after the process of encoding. So, after encoding that response is sent back, and at that stage also the receiver has to make a selection of a channel. So, Again that is reflected here and this is reflected there. So, these are the identical mirror image. The half of the process is the identical mirror image of the other half of the process, and that's message now in the form of feedback reaches back to the sender. Once it reaches back to the sender has to decode it again. Now the sender has to do that part of the that part which was earlier done by the receiver, the decoding action. So, unless he or she decodes the response message, the feedback message, he or she cannot decide whether his attempt at the process, at the communication was successful. Only the desired response determines the success of the act of that single act of communication. So, the sender has to decode it, and after decoding only he can understand that whether he was successful, whether his intended meaning was understood and received by the receiver only with the help of the message. That is why it is called feedback. This is the feedback which he receives, and it helps the sender to improve upon in the other further attempts at communication. If the intended meaning is understood fully, that is reflected in the message, he feels satisfied, and then he continues further for further information if needed. If not, then the process stops. But you can see that this process is a circular process and these stages are identical. Half of the process is a mirror image of the other half of the process, and the roles of the sender and the receiver keep swiping till half of the circle. The sender remains the sender. In the other half of the circle, the receiver becomes the sender and the sender becomes the receiver. So, this is how this circle continues, and it continues until the desired goal is achieved. If it is achieved in 1 or 2 or 3 attempts, then it stops momentarily. Now, the process of the communication stops, not the state of communication, because state of communication is a static situation, it remains there. If people are at communicating terms, they can initiate the process again in future if needed. If not, then they are rest assured that if they need, they will get the cooperation of the other person only by contacting him, only by showing the interest through communication. So, this process of communication continues. Immediate goal is achieved, then it discontinues, takes a pause physically for some time, but the people involved in the process of communication remain in the state of communication, and that is more important. That is more important because that creates the communication environment. After discussing this image, we can have a very simple chart of this process of communication again to understand and to brush up our understanding, to reinforce our understanding. On the one side it is sender, and then sender with an idea to share, then he encodes the message, he gives the shape, the form, a concrete ready to be sent form to the abstract idea. Then this message with the help of channel goes to the receiver and the receiver decodes it. When the receiver decodes it, the receiver then sends back the response which goes back to the sender as the feedback. You must have noticed this thing mentioned here, this is called noise. I have mentioned here because this is also a mandatory element in the process of communication. When we are studying the process of communication, we cannot ignore this element. This is called noise. Here noise has a special meaning. Noise is a part of the process of communication. Noise is that unwanted disturbance, unwanted element, some physical disturbance, some noise, some other inconvenience that exists at the stage of the transmission of the message. This is the stage of the transmission from the sender to the receiver. The message comes in the outer world, in the physical form, external world, and here the channels which are used, they may have some problems, there may be some distraction, there may be some disturbance in the channel. For example, if we are talking to other person and all of a sudden some loud sounds starts coming between your sound and the listening capability of the other person, that is called a noise. That is the simple meaning of noise. But any other disturbance, any other physical disturbance which lies within the environment of communication, which lies within the external environment, okay, if it is an oral form of the message being communicated with the channel, then this noise means the loud sound, unwanted sound. But when it is some written form of communication, then this sound is not that noise which we mean. Here noise means any problem which either distorts the message or which spoils the message and which is a hindrance in the understanding of the sender and the receiver. Like if we have sent a written form of message and that written form of message is not clearly legible to the receiver, if you have written in a very poor handwriting and the receiver is not able to read it, then also it is called noise. Okay. If you have sent some printout of some message and that printout is a very faded one, it is not a proper printout and the receiver is not able to read it, then again it is a noise. Okay. Or if you are using some means of telecommunication and network failure occurs, that network failure is also a noise. Okay. If we are addressing people through some public address system and the electricity failure occurs and you cannot use that public address system, you are not audible to your audience, that is also a noise. That silence is also a noise. Okay. So noise has a very larger implication here, you can say a very broader implication here. So any disturbance, any hindrance which occur in the process of communication at the stage of the transmission of the message is called noise. Okay. Some other elements are there, disturbing elements which are psychological elements which are called barriers. Such elements are within the sender and the receiver. As we have seen in the earlier image that within the mind of the sender and the receiver, this process of encoding and decoding takes place. So whatever the person thinks, whatever the person has as an understanding within himself is going to affect the decoding process. Similarly, whatever understanding the sender has, the background, the perception, the knowledge, the information, that is called to be effective, or you can say that affects the encoding process. So within the mind of the sender and the receiver, within the self of the sender and the receiver, there is individual difference. People have different perception, people have different understanding, people have different cultural background. Okay. Sometimes the language command of a person is different from the command of language of the other person. Sometimes interpretation by the sender is different and the interpretation of the receiver is different. Such kind of elements which occur due to the individual difference of people are called barriers, and these barriers are within the person, then they are called intrapersonal barriers, and when they occur between two people, they result in some misunderstanding, some wrong you can interpretation of that is called interpersonal. That is a bigger element that can be discussed elsewhere, but barriers and noise are part of communication process and we cannot eliminate them totally. In fact, intrapersonal barriers can never be eliminated because those barriers are the individual's inbuilt barrier, and those barriers result in interpersonal barrier, means the problem between the problem of understanding the message which is being shared, that is barrier, and noise is the physical barrier, that is a physical entity which creates disturbance. So now after understanding the process of communication, now we are in a position to understand the specific features of the process of communication. So the very first and the very obvious feature of the process of communication is that process of communication is cyclic. We have a cycle, okay, and this cyclic process has the identical mirror image of the one half of the to the other half, okay. So this process of communication is cyclic, and this cycle of communication continues unless the purpose of initiating that particular process of communication is fulfilled, okay. So that is the process of communication which we have discussed is a single unit, okay, that is the one single unit which constitutes the continuous process of communication. Since it is a cyclic one, it can continue forever, and the immediate purpose is fulfilled, then the actual particular process can discontinue, but the state of communication continues, that exists. Then comes this another feature, that this process of communication can take place upward, downward, lateral, throughout the organization, throughout the world, okay. It means that we can talk to people who are senior to us, we can talk to people who are our subordinates, we can talk to people who are our peer people, and the people whom we do not know, okay, unknown person, anyone. So this process of communication can take place with everyone around us. It takes place in every direction, upward, downward, lateral, in every direction, in world, in life, and in organization. And this process of communication is a continuous process of communication. As we have discussed, it is a it continues, keeps on continuing, and sometimes the identity of the sender and the receiver merges. We cannot identify that he was the initial sender and he was the receiver, now he is the sender. No, this is just to understand one single unit of the process of communication, the mandatory basic stages in the process of communication. But in itself, the process of continuation is communication is continuous, because this continuity is reflected, actualized in the form of the state of communication. The actual transferring of information, transmitting of information can discontinue, but the state continues. So this is a continuous and a dynamic interaction. It keeps on improving, and it affects both, and it is affected by so many variables. So it is both affecting and being affected by many variables. Means the process of communication is affected by outer surroundings, which I have said, the communication environment, and it keeps on affecting the environment and other variables in positive as well as in non-positive ways. Means it is in itself is strong, but it keeps affecting the other things also, and so many things are there to affect it. That is the meaning, as I have said, that it is both affecting and being affected by many variables. It means if the things change, if the situation change, if the position changes, then this process is affected. One important aspect of feedback is there in the process of communication. It is the most important aspect because it completes one single unit of the process of communication. It is the ultimate aspect of communication process, because the feedback, which is the response of the receiver sent back to the sender, enables the receiver and the sender to continue. The sender can understand and judge the level of the understanding of the receiver, and the success of his attempt at communication. If he finds that his purpose is fulfilled, he can go further. If he finds that the receiver has not understood him in the right light, in the right way, then he has to re-encode the message, he has to resend the message, and then again the message is improved, and it has the possibility of resulting in the desired response. So, this is the value of feedback, because it ensures and enhances the effectiveness of communication. Without getting this response, the communication is a one way thing, and that one way thing is not communication, because that is not a sharing, that is just imparting. But communication is sharing. The sharing means that both the people are at the equal terms, they are equally connected with the thing. So, this feedback is the aspect which ensures and enhances the effectiveness of communication, because it permits the sender to know the efficacy of his message, that this message is successful. And the analysis of feedback helps improve the future messages, because the whatever lesson we learn from our previous experiences, we incorporate those learnings into our further actions. So, the analysis of the feedback helps improve future messages. The feedback can be verbal or non-verbal, as the message can be verbal or non-verbal, and it is also transmitted through rightly chosen channels of communication. Summing up, first we have understood what is the communication, the exchange of information, and the lifeline of human survival and success. Then types, there are two types, verbal, non-verbal, and then the process. The process is cyclic, continuous and dynamic, and this process is continuous, because without communicating with people around us, we cannot live meaningfully, we cannot work successfully, and the final aspiration and the highest aspiration of human life is to be successful, to live a meaningful life. So, in that and the accomplishment of human life, this process of communication is important, and the role of feedback is undeniable. The feedback ensures and decides the effectiveness of our attempts at communication. Thank you all, that is it, and that was the thing which helps us to understand our role in living happy life, and in our role to keep people happy around us. Thank you all.